Hello and what's up everyone, Thunderbob here, and I'm checking out some more Diablo 2 Resurrected. Tonight I am checking out a build that I really enjoyed back in the day. This is a Fury Druid. Back many years ago I had a hardcore Fury Druid, and I think this might be one of the first ladder characters I play. I'm considering making a ladder hardcore Fury Druid when the ladders start. I've rebuilt this. I did one video before on a Fury Druid, and there's a couple things I didn't like the way I built it, so I redid things, and I think it's a lot more effective now. I'm using a two-hander. I'm using the Tomb Reaver, the low in it. Got the Cerberus Bite, Fortitude, High Lord's Wrath, Four Riders, Volcathos, String of Ears, Ravenfrost, Dracula's Grasp. This should help me do more damage while also being, pretty close to the max FPS. I've also got a lot of life charms and maximum damage, attack rating, life charms. I'm trying to go for maximum health because this is kind of like, this is where my target would be on a hardcore druid. I may never reach it, but this is kind of the pinnacle I'd be reaching for. So we're gonna do Andariel in player 1 difficulty in hell, and then we will go to player 8 and see what kind of trouble we can get into. Let's see. I gotta turn that off. Grizzly bear, got my oak, got my werewolf, and I have 8,490 health. That's not too shabby. And this thing kind of just rips through player 1 difficulty in hell. I've also, I didn't show it, but maxed Lycanthropy, Werewolf, Fury, those are your main skills. Oak Sage, I got remaining points in Summon Grizzly. I did end up maxing Feral Rage at 99. You had some extra points. This would, Feral Rage and Grizzly would be where you put your remaining points in my mind. Feral Rage is pretty nice for hardcore because it gives you an incredible amount of lifesteal. 128% lifesteal at the highest level. That's a lot of lifesteal. Like, you really don't need lifesteal from any other source, I think. And with all that triggering, my Fury's showing about 9,000 sheet damage, plus I got like a bit of wounds and all kinds of other proccing effects, so damage here is not too bad. My Fury Druid back in the day was pretty high end. I got to 92 in the end before I ended up biting the dust to some lag. But I'm trying to remember what weapon I was using. Like, this was probably 10 years ago, and after that character died, I kind of swore off hardcore for basically forever. This is the first time I'm considering jumping back into it. This is like a perfect layout for Andariel. My health. I didn't even put any new potions on my bar, that's how confident I am. But with this much health, even the biggest potions would not make a dent in it, so like you kind of need to have a lot of lifesteal. And she died reasonably fast. Got a longsword and nothing else. Making sure I got a town portal I can grab. And look at that, even Andariel's poison is barely touching my health pool. Usually that'll just like rip through you. Now what I'm thinking is I might try to do players 8, do some Arcane Sanctuary, see if I can head towards Duriel. I don't know if I'm gonna make it all the way or not. And I also failed to put any lifesteal on this character, someone might point out, but with how little mana Fury uses, like, my innate regeneration is enough to not have to worry about it. So player 8, I'm not doing quite as much damage, to be honest. It's, I mean, I'm not dying, that's for sure. I think for hardcore, it's gonna be fine. But if I wanted to farm player 8, I don't know that this would be the character I'd be going with. The other problem you run into is physical immune. I've got Reaper's Toll on the Mercenary, which helps with them, but really, this character has some difficulty with physical immunities. There's some items you can get to kind of work around that, like Lawbringers or something, but that's probably the biggest weakness of this build. By far. That and mana drain. Once I'm drained, like, I'm stuck. Just keep moving. Is this physical immune? That's definitely the problem this build has. The Decrepify from the Reaper's Toll does help. You can see it actually breaking the physical immunity at times, but alright. My Merc was not attacking them. See. So that's one way you can deal with them, though it's not perfect. Your damage is still gonna be limited. There's still gonna be some resistance left over. And I'm putting together a video that's like my top builds for each class going into the expansion, kind of where I'm going to be playing, and that'll be up probably the end of the week into next week. Let's see if you can break the boss character. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to. No, let's just gonna keep running. So many physical immune. I just want to see if the summoner is over here. Ooh, goody. It looks like the missing symbol is the circle, which should be on the far left over here. Okay, so I've got Manus potions in case I run into any additional Mana Steel guys, and we're gonna see how this does in player 8 difficulty when going for Duriel. And it still rips through the like normal guys pretty well. Of course, physical immunes are the weakness of this build. I do have Reaper's Toll on my Mercenary, at least to some extent, to deal with them. But yeah, that's the biggest problem you're going to run into. But it does reasonably well against like the normal random mobs and minions and stuff, short of being physical immune. There's some ups and downs to this build. It is, you know, it's got an incredible amount of survivability between having huge health pool because of Oak Sage and your werewolf ability. You get a huge amount of lifesteal from Feral Rage. You've got your Grizzly Bear or Wolves if you'd prefer that ting, you know, quite a bit of damage, and all of your guys have more health because of your Oak Sage. Makes a decent hardcore character. It's also a little bit easier to gear up than some of the melee builds out there, because a lot of your melee characters are very limited in what weapons they're effective with. Like with the paladin, you usually want a one-hander and you're using a shield. You know, if you do like in the Amazon, they need their specific type of weapon they're gonna be on with. Whereas a druid can use just about anything. They even excel with, you know, with two-handers, which not a lot of melee characters utilize. So like there may be more of those available for trade. There's also a number of fairly low-level rune words that are pretty effective, like things like insight, obedience, even like edge. You can use bows and crossbows on your druid with werewolf. It will work. Like, it's pretty awesome. So it gives you a few extra weapon types you can utilize and some flexibility on your weapons. They do like to kill my oaks. That is a dead end. Enigma is not as critical for werewolf because you can't cast teleport while you're transformed, and most of the time you're transformed, so it's kind of pointless. Teleport's a little bit dangerous in hardcore anyways, because, you know, you're likely to teleport into something you maybe don't want to. Whereas in softcore, it's not as big a deal if you die. In hardcore, one wrong teleport into a Stygian pack and your merc hits it at just the right second, and, you know, potentially you could die. So it's less of a deal, I think, in hardcore. Farming's, of course, going to be slower without it, but I think if I'm playing hardcore, I'm mostly just racing the ladder to see how far I can get, and there probably won't be as many people playing druids to start with, so I'm kind of curious how effective I can be. I ran through earlier, but I had an issue with my recording, so I restarted, and the maps don't reset in this mode, so some of my maps are already revealed. If you're wondering, I'm not using a map hack or anything. And my health bar is barely moving, like, even if I just stop attacking. Like that lifesteal is definitely helping, but I've got enough defense and enough life and enough survivability to, my mercs don't. My oak sage definitely doesn't. But I'm doing okay. And you can build up some charges of your Feral Rage and then swap to Fury. That works pretty well. Especially the Feral Rage makes up a bit for your lack of teleport, because you could just run all over the map. Is it not this way? Just keeping up my stacks of the Feral Rage. I think it's over this way. And that Feral Rage, when you max it out, I feel like each stack lasts quite a while. Potions are almost useless when you have this big of a life pool, because, you know, a potion I think will heal you like 10% of the way. Might as well not be using them. That Decrepify from the Reaper's Skull is nice. Definitely slows down those enemies. It'll be right up here, yep. We're just gonna go for it. I should be able to tank him, I think. I don't think my health bars. I'm just gonna stop. Let's see. Yeah, he barely even touches me. Alright, so that is Fury Druid. I'm definitely considering going with this when ladder starts and trying a hardcore Fury Druid. My alternative would maybe be a Summon Necro. I've got a video of that as well. If you want to check it out, let me know what you think. And if you like what I'm doing, why don't you subscribe? I would appreciate it. So thanks again for watching, everyone. Have a good night.